I'm a free market maximalist. I believe in the ideas. I believe in Bitcoin as the best money. I'm also certainly open-minded to the other uses for blockchain technology.
You definitely like DeFi because as a financial advisor, you like the fact that maybe people can decentralize the finance aspect.
What DeFi and this technology can do, it can unlock the value in the world. We should be able to buy a piece of anything. I should be able to look at a building and say, I like that building. I want a piece of that. We have the technology to do it. That should be a trivially easy thing to do. There's trillions of dollars around the world in real assets of things that already exist that could be tokenized and put into a way that you can have that value unlocked.
Right, and limited liability and all these things unlock massive amounts of value that before you couldn't really see it was there.
Yeah.
And DeFi does the same, and tokenization does the same.
And now we're at a new level. You have these really big players who can educate financial advisors and wealth managers by the tens of thousands, who in turn educate their clients by the millions. So that's really significant.
So you think as people get educated about Bitcoin, they'll really start to look back at our own fiat system and start to ask some big questions.
Yeah. Now there's an alternative to these fiat currencies. One of the greatest charts is US dollar versus Bitcoin. It's not that Bitcoin's gone up, it's that the US dollar has gone down versus real money. When people get that, then that changes their whole focus.
Talk to me about CBDCs. This is maybe one of the most important fights in humanity. If a CBDC does go into place, getting rid of it might be very, very hard.
Do you really trust the government to not use a power if they have it? If those people have power over ability to shut off our money, doesn't matter how wealthy we are, it's off. Then what? You can't operate without it, unfortunately, in our world. Bitcoin represents an alternative to that. It crushes that system, goes back to real money that politicians can't print from thin air. We could be in a new era of peace, human prosperity, happiness, and get these tyrants and their violence and their guns and their bombs out of our lives unless we really, really, really need them, which we don't right now.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go? This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Bruce Fenton, the entrepreneur, investor, early Bitcoin advocate, and blockchain expert. You have spent 30 years working in financial services and are the CEO of Chainstone Labs, with a primary focus on investing in blockchain startups. For the last 11 years, you've been at the forefront of the Bitcoin movement and are the co-founder and host of the Satoshi Roundtable, an exclusive, invitation-only event for leading figures in cryptocurrency and blockchain that I will be attending this week in Dubai. You're also a former candidate for the U.S. Senate in New Hampshire, campaigning for sound economics, free markets, and human rights. You believe we have reached an important moment in our history, which you have called a fourth turning, and argue it is imperative we come together and work towards freedom over tyranny. You have also said that Bitcoin offers certainty in an uncertain world, and that all of us need to be deeply concerned about CBDCs. Bruce, welcome to London Real in Dubai.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's great having you here. Let's jump right into what's happening right now, which is the Satoshi Roundtable. It's going to start in a few days. All the top people here in Dubai have been talking about it, buzzing about it for the last few weeks that I've been here. I'm excited about it. I remember hearing about it a year ago, and I was like, what's this roundtable? What's this roundtable? And it was kind of invite only. I think I saw one picture maybe of the group at the end, and I saw friends of mine like Carl the Moon saying, thank you for having me, and a bunch of people talking about it. But I really wanted to come, and the only reason I'm staying until the Feb is because I wanted to be here for the roundtable.
Okay.
And so I know you've kind of called it the Unconference. I know it's the 10th annual, which is amazing. But what is the Satoshi Roundtable?
So basically, I had an idea. I was up at a conference in Canada about 11 years ago with some friends, and we were in the speaker's lounge, and then we came out, And he was the CEO of one of the big wallet companies, and somebody came up and said, "Hey, can you help me with my wallet?" We were right in a deep conversation. He did, because he's nice, and that's what a good CEO does. But then we kind of had a chuckle about it because our convo was interrupted. He said, we ought to have a conference with only speakers and no attendees. And I said, yeah, that's kind of a good idea, actually. And I had always been interested in these. I had always been interested in the idea of like a counterbalance to a Davos or something, like a libertarian version or a more free market cypherpunk kind of version. But I liked the idea of a smaller, more private, no media, no pitches, kind of off the record, privacy focused, controlled group. People think I'm an introvert, but I'm kind of a little bit of an introvert, actually, and so I consider this kind of an introverts conference. What I love about conference is the one-on-one interactions and the convos, and that's what this is designed. It's a event designed around good conversations.
Yeah, because the best conferences I've been to, all the really good stuff happens in the speakers lounge.
Yeah,
a lot of times when you have this little. Actually, sometimes the best. I call it like the maple syrup of the conference. Mm-hmm. Like everything's boiled down and you're in a room with 50 or 100 people that are either going on stage or they're important enough to get in there. And then it's just like, wow, if I spend 2 hours here, that's more important than 2 months anywhere else. Because I'm literally ricocheting off the most important people. And sometimes I would just hang out in there and just literally approach people at the bar like I was picking someone up. Like, hey, how's the coffee? Yeah. Because you're going to talk to somebody important. And so, look, I've been here for conferences like GITEX and Future Blockchain Summit, and they're amazing. But there's people on stage that can only say so much. Mm-hmm. There's big booths, and there's just a lot of people there. And so I'm really excited because this is going to be smaller. I know it's like, no media, no cameras, no name dropping. And then also I see it's like a bunch of unconference themes. So in the Telegram group, people are already starting to say, hey, can we talk about this? Can we talk about this? So I don't know how that's going to manifest, but I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, we've got a good system now. It was around the third, fourth year that we experimented the first few years and kind of a hybrid of a conventional and unconventional. We had more traditional speakers and breakout sessions and debates. But around what I realized is the less I did, the better it worked. And so it was there was an urge that I had as an organizer. I remember in a couple of the early years, like, come on, everybody, we got this session over here. Hey. And people don't want to be herded, especially a crowd like this. Everybody has something to offer. Everybody is a smart person who's there for a reason. So the more we gave people control and we let them run their agenda, the better it works. So around the fourth year, we finally got that to kind of click. And we got a facilitator. Now we've had another 6 years of working it that way. And basically it's an organic agenda. So a couple days before, and especially the first day, a couple days before we gather some topics. And then the first day we kind of put it all on a board. You say, Brian wants to talk about mining and, Marshall wants to talk about mining. Maybe you'll combine your panel. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you want to do yours first and his right after because you have the same audience. Maybe you want to go, you disagree and you want to do a debate. Maybe you say, you know what, Marshall's more of an expert. I'm not going to do mine. I'm just going to attend his. And we put all those on sticky boards, and then the Bitcoin maximalists and the DeFi people and the Web3 people and the lawyers. There's always a regulatory panel. That's my least favorite. That's the last thing I'm interested in. I don't want to hear more lawyers. No offense to my friends. I'll poke in and say hi. But everybody can. But if the lawyers love it, they may be. Some of them stay in that panel all day. A lot of the Bitcoin maximalists stay with the other Bitcoin maximalists. So you can have very different conference experiences. And since everyone has something to offer, you usually have, any given crowd, you're going to have, really high caliber people. And sometimes the sessions end up with 2 people. And sometimes there's the best sessions because they have that 1 or 2 or 3 people where they want to talk about the, whatever Puerto Rico tax treaty and how it relates to tokens. And then you have a big session. Last year we had CZ. He had a big session, 180 people or so go to his. Almost everybody goes to his session because he's CZ. And so it varies a lot. Everybody has a different experience, and it's organic, very much like our space, decentralized and driven by creators. Those are the best decentralized projects. You just let the world do its thing, and it works.
All right, so I shouldn't panic when I'm looking through the app thinking what's happening, because that's the point.
Just go with the
roll.
Flow. And,
right.
And my personal favorite thing is the meals and the side things, because you're always going to be sitting. And then that's the nice thing, too. So you may have like the Super Bitcoin Maximalist group, and then you have the Ethereum group, but then we all have meals together. So you have just enough cross, it's small enough that if people, maybe disagree with somebody, they're not going to get stuck with them. But if they're trying to seek somebody out and they really want to share an idea, it's pretty easy to sort of find anybody. So, yeah.